Look what I can do. My name is Kin. Yes, those were blueprints. No, I'm not using any mods to design or place those blueprints. No, this isn't a trick. Yes, I totally stole this technique from someone else. All credit to this blueprint extending or blueprint shifting technique goes to Pobcac on YouTube and Twitch, POBKAC. I adapted and applied his technique to create these blueprints. So these curves are my idea and my design, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without his technique. Do me, him, and yourself a favor and check out his videos on that technique. For myself, I've been obsessed with creating good-looking curves easily with blueprints since I started playing Satisfactory almost a year ago. This technique allows us to create blueprints larger than the blueprint designer, although with some heavy limitations, and therefore has allowed me to be able to make some curves I wanted to in the size and length more convenient than what I can fit inside the blueprint designer. Today we're at the Gold Coast in the shadow of my completed Star Wars inspired mega water packaging factory from my main playthrough. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes explaining how and why I made the giant blueprints you saw at the beginning of this video. And make sure to stick around at the end. There's one more application of this that I haven't shown you yet, and you're going to want to see it. So essentially, this technique boils down to working around the two rules that keep you from being able to build blueprints bigger than the designer. And those two rules are no item can cross the boundary, right? And we know this, we can't build outside the boundary. Makes sense. Okay. The other rule is that the center of the item or the placement where we're building it has to be within the blueprint area. This makes sense too. If you build out here outside the blueprint area, it actually won't fit. As long as we follow those rules, we can make a blueprint that extends outside of the blueprint area. And again, Pobcac goes through this in much more detail, but I do want to show you how this works. What you do is you build two foundations just like this, and then you come over and you save it. When you clear the designer and build it, you can now build and satisfy both of those requirements. The center of this blueprint is inside the blueprint area, and I am not crossing the boundary with any item. Now we can do it again by placing here and here with this blueprint that we saved and extend this out as long as we want. I am going to show you how I built one of my circular designs from start to finish in a few minutes, but I wanted to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So as soon as I saw this technique, I totally freaked out because I knew I'd be able to find a way to use it to create the circles and the curves that I love building in my playthrough much faster and easier. This is a perfect example right here. So this is actually 10 foundations out from the center to create this circle. Then of course we built the Imperial symbol on top of it, but we had to do this piece by piece and it took a long time. Using this technique, I've actually made a blueprint that does it for us. In one click, 10 foundations out from a center that creates the same exact circle that I've been using for the curves in my train line and the curves in my circle. One button, one click. We look over here, you can see that train line curving. It's the same concept. However, there's a downside with this, and that is the fact that we don't always want to 360. Sometimes we just want a piece, or better yet, a 90-degree angle. And so I chopped out a piece of that 360-degree circle and got ourselves a 90-degree angle. And this is that 90-degree angle blueprint. Placing it is a little bit tough because it's not exactly easy to see the center. But if you can find it, you can get that 90-degree angle and get all of those individual foundations exactly where you want them. Now, how do you use this? What do you use it for? Well, I've got the beginnings of a road right here. I designed a really simple road blueprint to give us an idea, and we are going to build it. Now, like any buildable, if you build something on a foundation, whatever you build will orient itself to that foundation. And so we're just going to be doing the same thing with these blueprints. Now, these are pretty straightforward, no pun intended. And now we finally have our first turn. I'm keeping it in the center, but as I move to the next foundation, blueprint curves with me. Just like that, we have ourselves a full 90-degree curve. Very gradual. It even looks like the dotted lines are moving, and we know in our minds that those are straight. Yet we've got this perfect curve. My favorite way to do curves, and now I can do them even faster. So we can't build a road without testing it out. Whee! So I didn't just use roads for this technique, I also made some changes to my train blueprint and made it just like these roads, one section each, and this is how I'm going to be doing my train curves in the future. As you can see, this is the modified train blueprint, and I've gone ahead and put them in place and built the railroad on top, and you can see that it gives us this really, really gradual, really nice looking train curve. I really, really, really like it. Now, the next application of this blueprint extension, it's slightly different from this circle that I came up with, is for building perfectly circular buildings. And I'm going to show you. Now, not only do we have a wall with this blueprint, but this wall has been spaced out so that there is no gap whatsoever between the two wall pieces. In fact, this almost looks like it's straight. We know it's not, but it almost looks like it's zooped. This happens to be 10 foundations plus 7 meters. And that gives us the distance that we want so that no gap is formed. Now, I did not just do this with concrete walls. In fact, I did it with glass walls as well. And using this blueprint, we can, in a few clicks, build ourselves a perfectly round tower to build our factories inside of and get away from those ugly boxes that we've all done. And we can make a glass one, concrete. In fact, what I'm going to do next to show you the process from beginning to end is I'm going to design our blueprint just like these circles up here, and I'm going to use this wall because I want one, our hex frame wall right here. First thing we have to do to get started, just like I showed earlier, we build our hex frame walls right on the edge, but we're going to go all the way up this time. Now the goal is to extend these out a little bit at a time. It takes 4 or 5 saves until we get to our desired width. And I've actually marked that here and here as 10 foundations plus 7 meters. So let's get started. I'm just going to call this new blueprint 3. I'm going to save. We're going to clear the designer. And we're going to build new blueprint 3. Build it on the center. Build it on the center. We're going to delete these and these. And we're going to save new blueprint 4. Clear designer. Build new blueprint 4. Now it's longer so we can extend further. Delete. Delete. Save new blueprint 5, clear designer. New blueprint 7, clear designer. Now we're gonna have to watch what we're doing here. And I wanna say this is probably close. It is close, off by 2. How's that? Right on the money? How is this? Perfect. Now, what I'm gonna do, we were not gonna clear, we're gonna build in the center, and I'm gonna rotate. Now we have 4 sides. All 4 sides. I'm gonna save again. Now we clear, and here comes the rotation portion. Now, just like building the 5-degree rotations for the circle by hand, that's essentially what we're doing, is building the circle by hand. Just we're doing it inside the blueprint maker. So, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna build one of our blueprints directly in this orientation. Now, the downside of this design is that those will be 2 meters up, and when you place your first one, we have to countersink by 2 meters. But that's a small price to pay to have this all done for us. Now, that straight orientation is complete. Hold control, one foundation on another, and it allows you to rotate 5 degrees. As you can see, all 4 get constructed. And then we repeat this for all 90 degrees. And we're halfway there. We've done half of the 90 degrees, and as you can see, those 2 are gonna meet. And this should be our last one. And it looks like I made a mistake somewhere. See if we can fix it. Perfect. Now, these are still in blueprint mode. So luckily, these are still think they're blueprints. So if we can find the right one, is this one. Here we go. Mistake erased. This is exactly how I built both of those. And you can do this with any wall type or configuration or color that you want. Now, to finish this off, I'm gonna delete these, and so that we give ourselves a place to construct, we go all the way up to 32 meters to help stacking. And just like that, got another one ready to go. Now, I really appreciate you guys hanging with me through to the end here. I have one last thing to show you. One last blueprint. One last application of this technique. I think you guys are really gonna like it. Now, we're not limited to only doing this with walls or foundations. As long as you can create the space, you can make it work. And so I present to you my train double helix spiral blueprint. Very stackable. Now, as you can probably tell, how this works, and they run all the way up. This blueprint will provide you with 4 different sets of 2-way trains. Now, the best part about this is that it works and is designed to work perfectly inside the glass walls. Now, I could spend a lot of time showing you guys how this looks when it's done by building it for you, but to be honest with you, I already did it. I went a little crazy, guys. I went a little crazy. That's what it looks like. And to be honest with you, I love him. I love him very much. He is amazing. Now what we have going here is 4 train stations. These are 4 separate lines, and they run all the way to the top. The outside train is the up, and the inside is the down. We get our double helix pattern. Well, I guess this would be a quadruple helix. This is the back of my water packaging factory. And then at the top, at the very, very top, we have 4 more train lines. And the trains are just running back and forth. Now, this took me about 3 hours to put together. The blueprints and the settings were done pretty quickly. Most of the time was the signals and actually translating all of these over into all of those with these train lines and keeping them out of the way. That took more time than anything, and it's pretty ugly, but that's because I did it really fast. And then I have 3 separate trains on each train line, so there's a total of 12 trains running in our system. And I am super happy with this. My philosophy on blueprints is that blueprints allow you to do crazy things that you just wouldn't have time to do without them. Yes, they save you time, but they don't save you time in a way that cheats you. They save you time in a way that allows you to do more exactness, more really mega projectness. Because there's no way I could build this and place this perfectly every single time, and it would take me hours and hours and hours to do. And I'm really, really, really happy with it. I want to thank everybody for watching, and do not forget, make sure you check out PubCac after this video is over. I've got a card in the upper right from episode 1 of my playthrough if you haven't seen me, but to be honest, you've been a little bit spoiled because this is our first mega project. 31,200 water being pumped, ready to be shipped over to our next mega project. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate this. I hope it gives you some ideas, and I hope to see you guys fill up my comments like usual with your amazing ideas, and I'll be sure to steal those too, and maybe put them in their own video. Thank you guys. Until next time.